Thank you, Bill. You are my hero. You really are. Some of you may have heard me say in the past that I didn't really like that song. I liked most of the words, I liked the melody, but there was a problem I had with it, and that was the line that in the original version that from a distance God is watching us. Because in unity, we know that God is within us. And Bill, where'd you go? There you are. Oh, thank you. Thank you. He has brought it into the unity consciousness. Wow. I like that song now. He sings it pretty good, yes. Well, today we continue our series based on the home study books we are doing in our Adventures in Faith called Living Untethered. And how many of you have noticed that that book is somewhat cerebral? A few, I can tell who's reading it. It's a great, great book. But at least in the beginning, in the first bunch of chapters, it is very intellectual because it is through our mind that we see our world and we interpret our world. But the beauty of that is, on Sunday mornings, then, we can go deeper and see how it ties in to our spiritual journey. And that is what we are going to do today. For those of you who may not be aware, we're doing a series based on the book by Michael Singer called Living Untethered. It's the sequel to the book, The Untethered Soul. And it's described as a spiritual self-help book that explores the concept of inner freedom and awakening by delving into the nature of consciousness of the self. Thank you, Amazon. I did not write that. So last week we looked at our relationship to the outside world. We explored who we truly are, not merely physical beings, not merely intelligence, not merely emotion. We experience all of that. But we are someone who has a body, has intelligence, and has emotions. They are not our true self. They are things that we experience, things that we have. We are someone or something that is beyond the body. We experience our world through what we receive through our five senses. We interpret our world through our past experiences, the thoughts we hold in mind about it. But in the light of recognizing that we are beyond that, we are more than that, we can understand that it is not what we are. We are not the outer world. We experience the outer world, but we are not it. That's perhaps what Jesus meant when he said, be in the world, but not of it. We can be in the world. We can have the experiences and have the interactions and all of that with our world, but we are more than that. And when we can remember that we are indeed more than that, we can begin to untether ourselves from outer conditions and outer circumstances. It is said that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. I would take that to the next level and say we are spirit having a human experience. When we truly can understand that very minute difference, that difference between thinking of ourselves as a spiritual being, individuated from creation, individuated from God, to we are spirit, one with creation, one with God, that we truly begin to understand what this is all about, that we truly begin to untether ourselves from outer conditions and outer circumstances. It is that point of understanding that we remember that the moment right in front of us has absolutely nothing to do with us unless we choose to let it. We can look at what's going on in the world, and it is real, it is happening, but it is not truly us. It is what we are observing, and perhaps we choose to participate in it or not, but that is choice. The author writes that the most amazing thing that you will ever realize is that the moment in front of you is not what's bothering you. Keep that in mind next time you're reading the newspaper or watching the news. The moment right in front of you is not what is bothering you. You are bothering yourself about the moment in front of you. You are being in the world and of the world rather than being in the world and not of the world. It is then that you can create a world that matches your vibration. Now, I'm not saying that we deny what is going on around us, that we don't get involved where it is possible and appropriate for us to get involved, where we are called to get involved. What I'm saying is we don't make that our identity. We are in the world, but not of the world. It's very Buddhist in many ways. It's that consciousness of non-attachment. Non-attachment teaches us from the Buddhist tradition that, yes, this is happening. And I can attach myself to the energy of it and bring my energy down to its level, or I can be unattached and create a higher level of vibration. Because that is how we begin to heal the world. By not putting our energy into negative appearances, but instead creating an energy that lifts up. We can rediscover then what love truly is. We can rediscover the love through which we are created. And we can remember one of the most important things that we need to remember. And that is that we are loved. You know, I was speaking to one of our congregation the other day, and she said to me, Gordon, one of the biggest problems I see is that everybody has forgotten that they are loved. Thank you. I want you to think about that. Do you remember what it felt like to be truly loved? Do you remember? Maybe you do. If you do, you are blessed. But so many people in our world today have forgotten. And that, I believe, is the root cause of just about every problem we have, is that people have forgotten they are loved. We say and we know the truth that on a spiritual level, we are not only loved, but truly we are loved as creation. I want you to hear that. We are not creation as love, but love as creation. For every living being, including you, are created in the image and likeness of love. Now, in the Gospels, it says in the book of Genesis, we are created in the image and likeness of God. And for many people, that's really hard to wrap their head around because they've forgotten what that image and likeness is. That image and likeness only has one real characteristic: love. God is love, period. God does many things and flows as creation, but God is love. That is the nature. So, God is also air conditioners. So, think about what you are, where you came from. I'm not talking about just you, this person you are in this now moment, but you, the true you, that is experiencing this life, that has taken on an avatar, this body. This body is not you. It's the vehicle you are occupying at this moment to have this experience. Last week we talked about who is thinking my thoughts. The brain is not you. It is the computer you are using to have this experience and interact with this experience. But you are beyond that. So we're going to talk about what you really are, because you matter. Unless you energy. Okay, I know that was really bad. There's a few geeks out there who got that. Or perhaps you are both. So let's begin. Let's look at how creation came to be and what creation truly is. 13.8 billion years ago, scientists say, I don't know who added up the years, but somebody did. The Big Bang happened. And all mass and matter existed within a space smaller than an atom. It exploded outward when God said, bang. It says in Genesis, and God said, maybe what he said was bang. And matter and energy, well, not matter, energy exploded out into the void. But scientists say that it would have been so hot because it would have been so compacted that it would have no form. It was simply unformed energy. However, as it expanded, it began to cool, and over the next 380,000 years, electronic particles, subatomic particles began to join together. Atoms gradually attracted each other in differing combinations, creating the elements. First, the lighter ones, hydrogen and helium and all the gases, and then gradually the heavier ones, creating stars. As it began to happen, gravity, atoms began to attract each other. They formed stars, and the stars have a strong gravitational pull. And eventually, stars explode. They turn into novas and supernovas, launching gas and energy back out into the void around them, creating new opportunities for the universe to manifest, including planets, including atmospheres, including life, and including you. You may have heard or seen a bumper sticker or a t-shirt that says, "You are made of stardust." I would go one step further and say, you are stardust. You have heard maybe that you are more than that even. You are the energy that existed at the beginning of creation. Scientifically, you are 13.8 billion years old. So the next time somebody asks you, how old are you? What are you going to answer? 13.8 billion years old. Think about all that had to happen. All the energy, all the subatomic particles, all the ancestors that had to happen for you to be here right now. Your physical being is made of atomic energy, but that is not you. Your consciousness is you. And your consciousness has only one true nature: love. That's the same love that has echoed down for 13.8 billion years. It has not changed. It has not weakened. It is you, truly who and what you are. But what is this love? Love is a tough word to work with because we have our human level of understanding of what love is. On a human level, it's the feeling we have toward what we have created, our relationships, our children, our art, our world, maybe our jobs, maybe the place we live. But it is limited, that human love, and it's not always permanent. Love can sometimes be transactional. I love you because you love me. By the way, I love you whether you love me or not. Just want to be clear there. I love you because someone, maybe myself or somebody, had a dream. But if that changes, sometimes in our human experience, that love may end. Think about the premise of traditional Christianity. I was told in the tradition I grew up in, and I know many of you were too, that we have to love God. It's not a choice, we have to. And God will only love us back if we love God. Or God will only love us back if we are good, or if we are saved, or if he is in the mood. But we know that's not true. We know that that's a human level of understanding. That this love that we call God is actually creation itself. It's what we call divine love. In Talks on Truth, Charles Fillmore wrote this. He wrote, "Love is a divine principle, and we can know it in its purity by touching it at its fountainhead. There it is not tinged in any way by our formative thought. Rather, it flows forth a pure, pellucid stream of infinite ecstasy. It has no consciousness of good or evil, pure or impure. It pours itself out in great oceans of living magnetic power to be used by whosoever will." He went on to write, "We have a faculty through which we receive love from being. This faculty is commonly called the heart. However, it is but the visible expression of an invisible center of consciousness. Sense discerns that we have a heart, but soul discerns an inner faculty in us that through which we may express an attribute of being." Charles Fillmore wrote that 100 years ago. Now, scientists at places like the Heart Math Institute are proving that there's something in here beyond just that muscle that beats, beyond just an emotion. There's an intelligence. And by the way, I mentioned the Heart Math Institute. Jay Pullen is going to be offering a class and work. Talk to Jay, he can explain it better. Using the principles and the techniques that the Heart Math Institute has discovered. But let me put the words of Charles Fillmore into more modern, easier to understand language. Sense discerns that we have a heart, but soul discerns an inner faculty through which we may express the energy of creation. Understand this deep, sacred level of love, that you are not just in creation, you are not just from creation, you are not just in God, you are not just from God, you are God expressing. There has never been any separation between you and God. From the very beginning, when you were nothing more than a waveform at the beginning of creation, you have been God expressing as you. When we get that, when we really, really get that, we become untethered. We are no longer at the mercy of memories or experiences or outer circumstances or outer people. We are, in fact, observers and creators of alternatives. What would happen if we could learn as a species to see each other not as individual people with maybe ideas or beliefs we don't agree with, but as God itself, as creation itself? Instead of division, we would see unity. We are all energy expressing. Instead of different ideas, different beliefs, we would see diversity, beautiful interweavings of ideas and colors and ways of showing up in the universe. I know that all sounds real easy, doesn't it? But it isn't. If it was easy, we'd have accomplished it millions of years ago. It isn't easy because we are tethered. We are tethered to what we think reality is, what we think is about us, rather than knowing that it has nothing to do with us. And we are one with all. So how do we get back the memory of feeling loved? How do we return to that moment, that place where we last truly felt loved? Well, the first thing we can do is take a second. Take a second with me, or a minute. Close your eyes. Think back. Think back to a time when you felt completely and unconditionally loved. Perhaps it is a childhood memory. Perhaps it is from another time. Get into that vibration. Get into that memory. Remember the peace, the warmth, the assurance. And rest for a moment in that. How many of you could feel it? You don't have to raise your hands. And maybe you couldn't. But know this, that even right this moment, whether you can feel it or not, you are one with that. It is there. And maybe through meditation, maybe through something else, do try to get back that feeling. Maybe you just have to imagine it. But imagination is a creative energy. Imagine what it would feel like to be in that place where you felt totally and completely loved. Don't think about how you have to give that out, because you cannot give out what you don't have in the moment. I have water, thank you. Think about that time when there was no pollen in the air. Another thing we can do is write down what it would feel like to be completely and totally loved. Don't edit it. Don't judge it. Don't share it. Just write down what comes from your heart. Write about what's on your mind, what made you smile or cry, or what you had for breakfast. Write about your crazy dream or pet peeve or anything you want. It doesn't matter. But write it down and feel yourself as there's a love that comes through that transcends all of that. Because when you write something down, you have something tangible to let go of. Thank you, Steve. To let go of. Another thing we can do is spend time with people who will love you for who you are and less time with people who will love you for who you're not, or who don't love you for who you're not. Choose to spend less time with people who sabotage your happiness. That doesn't mean you can't take time out to lift people around you up, but remember, you're watching them, you're observing them. They are not who you truly are. Just like I am not the pollen in the air. Give your change, a smile, a sandwich, or something, a few volunteers hours to people who don't know how to surround themselves with people to lift them up. You'll be surprised at how you are lifted up yourself when you do that. Here's an important thing we can do. Maybe one of the most important things in today's lesson that we can do to disentangle ourselves from all that outer stuff. Stop proving yourself. Stop it. I used to try to prove how good I was at my job by doing more and acting like someone I wasn't. My work wore me down. I got sick a bunch, and I felt completely depleted at the end of the day. I never took time out to be alone or to refuel or to soothe my own heart. Instead, I kept pushing, growing, and doing more. And as I did more, I found out something. There was always more to do. More that had to be done, more to prove, bigger goals, higher hoops. Be yourself. Be who you truly are. Let go of excess. That's the next thing we can do. Keep releasing the excess, the extra, and the stuff that doesn't mean anything to you anymore. Not just material stuff, but stuff up here. Give yourself all the space, time, and love you need to remember who you are. And for a while, that may mean saying no more than you say yes. That's okay. That's okay. No is a perfectly good sentence. Because when you can do that, you make room for that which truly matters, that which is truly needed, and you become healthier yourself. And this next one, I need to rewrite like Bill rewrote the song. Be a gentle warrior. I don't like that word warrior. We need to shift that whole consciousness. But be a gentle warrior. We'll use it for now. A gentle warrior is loving and kind. A gentle warrior is also fiercely protective when it comes to the non-negotiables that allow us to live a happy, healthy, meaningful life. We can do both. We can be out there serving in our world, being a channel of love, and being love in our own selves. That's how we begin to become untethered. Because once we are untethered, we are no longer controlled by the outer. We are free to create a higher vibration. We are free to become an energy of healing. We are free to become love in action. That allows us to finally come into harmony with reality instead of our personal self. For reality is love. As I have said over and over again today, if you haven't picked up on it, this is your last chance. You are the culmination of 13.8 billion years of love. Can you feel that? Does that maybe change the energy in your heart? You are the culmination of 13.8 billion years of love. There have been billions of stars that have come and gone. But there has always been a spirit that has guided, combined, torn apart, reformed the universe itself. And all of that has become you. Nothing more, nothing less. Love is all there is. Somebody should write a song called that. Oh, I think somebody did. I'm going to close today with one of my favorite quotes, because it's a quote that really changes consciousness when we really take it in and sit with it. It's from Teilhard de Chardin. Someday, after mastering the winds, the waves, the tides, and gravity, we shall harness for God the energies of love. And then, for the second time in the history of the world, we will have discovered fire. So to all of you, I say, happy birthday on your 13.8 billionth birthday.